I took it upon myself at that time to speak with anybody and everybody that was actually involved and harmed by the fire.
Hey guys, thank you for joining with us again on Untitled Success. It's season 3. I'm glad to have this third season coming up. We have a lot of fun coming this season. With me today is Michael Shehata, who owns Bethany Insurance, and we're going to dive into insurance brokerage. So thank you for joining me today, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, man. So the first question I always like to ask everybody is, who were you in high school?
Oh, man. Taking me back.
Yeah.
I was a little prick, honestly, in high school. That's the truth. I always played basketball, but I'm pretty short in stature. So I always had to find a way to grind and try to make myself bigger than I was on the court. And I think that kind of translated off the court when I was a kid, but I didn't really know how to control it.
Okay.
So in high school, I think I came off as maybe rude or arrogant. Played with a lot of good guys that played in college. And so I didn't see run on the floor, but I was definitely trying to make myself somebody that I wasn't or that I wanted to be. So that was kind of me in high school.
Were you more of like an introvert or extrovert in high school?
Definitely an extrovert.
Okay.
100%. I was super outgoing. I may have changed now, actually more the other way.
You think you're an introvert now?
Not so much an introvert, but definitely circle smaller, more to myself. But I think it comes with the territory.
Yeah.
Owning a business, just being busy all the time.
Have you always been in the insurance business, or were there other things that you partook before jumping into this business?
So I jumped into insurance when I was 19. Mm-hmm. So it was pretty much the first thing that I did. I mean, I worked at Cal State Fullerton when I went there, did like some intramural stuff.
Yeah.
I worked in high school. My first job was when I was 15 years old in high school. I was scooping ice cream at Thrifty.
Yeah.
Rite Aid now. But yeah, I've always worked my whole life, but insurance was definitely the first like real gig that I got into.
And was it Bethany Insurance or?
It was Bethany Insurance from day one. Yeah.
So talk to me about Bethany Insurance. Like, how did it start?
Yeah, good question. So it actually started in 2006 with my mom and my brother. Mm-hmm. My mom had been in insurance for about 40 years prior to that. My brother was 18, 19 years old at that time. And my mom was coming home every day crying from her job, really upset, not being treated fairly. She had been with the same company for over a decade, not giving her vacation time, not living up to their promises. And my brother was young and hungry, and he's like, forget that. Let's start our own thing. And my mom's like, I'm too old to do that. I can't start a business now.
Yeah.
So I think the combo of the brains and being in the industry, having the experience with the young hustle grind of my brother was really able to get us going.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And so what did it start with? Just auto insurance?
Yeah, just auto and home. That was all residential. That was for about the first 5 years or so. And then I jumped in 2011. Mm-hmm. So about 5 years after it started, we still stayed on that residential track, but the market slowly started to shift. And we saw that commercial was really the way to go. And so we started to see how can we tie in other lines of business. Yeah. And we launched marketing and things like that.
For those who don't know, right, there's a vast majority of insurance, right? And so there's like the in-house insurance, for example, AAA only sells AAA insurance, right? Bethany is not Bethany Insurance. It's a brokerage that sells various amounts of insurance.
Right.
Right.
That's right. So there's two types of agencies. There are what's called independent agencies, which is what Bethany is. Mm-hmm. And we're able to contract with several different carriers. And then there's what's called a captive agency.
Oh, captive.
Captive agents. And captive agents are State Farm, Farmers, AAA, Geico.
Right.
And they can only sell their product.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
When you started Bethany Insurance, or when your parents started Bethany Insurance, what certifications, what things were needed to start that insurance brokerage?
Yeah, good question. Definitely a business license, right? I mean, you're operating a business first and foremost, but then you need a state certification in the state that you're a resident in. So state of California certification for insurance. There's different license types. There's life, accident, and health. There's just personal lines, just commercial lines. So you got to see what it is that you're getting into and make sure you're getting the right certifications. But
Okay.
that was really it. There are several important things that you got to make sure that you have lined up. I think that's kind of where we're going, and it's you got to have the business plan, you got to have the certifications, but where you're located is super important. Your marketing strategies, who you're trying to market to, all those things I think are more significant and a little bit harder to get to than just the certifications and licenses that are needed.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about it as someone who works in the industry.
Right.
If I left today, just having one thing that I learned pretty quickly is, like, for example, AAA does, I forgot what license is it. It's not P&C license. It's a different kind of license to only sell for AAA.
Uh-huh.
So it's like personal something. So I couldn't go to State Farm, or I couldn't do any of these things. So if you get your P&C license, that's just not it. And there's still the factor that you have to find these carriers that are willing to trust you to take their name on your policies. I would presume.
Definitely. So the blessing that we were able to have was my mom, right? And being in the industry for so long, her network was so large. So when she started her own agency, it was, hey, Mercury, you've known me for 40 years. I was just over here. Can you get me an appointment? Can I sell your product? You know me. Okay. And it was, yeah, we know you, sure, right? And same with Nationwide and all the other carriers that kind of trickled in.
Oh, wow.
And so you're absolutely right. It's not easy. You can't just say, hey, I'm going to open up a brokerage and I'm going to sell Mercury Insurance. Mercury's got to give you that contract.
Right.
And typically with that contract, you got to give them a certain amount of business each month, year, whatever that contract says. And if you don't, they cut that contract. Right. And so usually the bigger guys like Mercury and Nationwide and those guys, they require 6-figure plus in your first year of production. So it's not easy. It's not easy to get there.
Well, that's kind of a scary thing.
Yeah, it is. So what I would say is, if you're trying to get an insurance, I don't know who wants to get an insurance, but if you're trying to get into insurance, you really got to know where the market is. So, right, if you were opening an agency today, it looks a lot different than what it did 20 years ago. Today, if you're just tailoring to auto and home, especially in this state in California, it's going to be rough. It's going to be really rough. So I would say gear it to commercial, gear it to life, gear it somewhere where people have money that they are willing to spend or really want to protect their own assets and their own investments. Mm-hmm. But that residential auto and home, it's such a tough market right now.
It's a very saturated market.
It is a very saturated market. And with the fires in January, mm-hmm. a lot of companies mass exited or canceled policies. And so that saturation is now being split by even less carriers that are offering. And so it makes it really tough.
If you were to start a brokerage today, or if someone who's listening is like, oh, I'm in the cusp of thinking about starting a brokerage today, how much capital do you think that person needs? Just like, I know there's not like a real pinpoint amount, but if someone's like, Michael, if I came with 50,000, do you think that's enough? 100,000 to start getting me by, 200,000. What would that number look like today as a brokerage?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's going to depend on what type of operation you're trying to get to. If you're starting a small operation, kind of like we did, 1 or 2 people that are going to be running the show, I would say you need to allocate about 30 to 50K per person that's going to be involved in the business. So if you're running this on your own, 50K is sufficient. But again, location, what does your rent look like, right? You got to have reserves. You got to have 6-12 month reserves for certain things. But you got to obtain your own insurances to protect yourself, right? At the end of the day, you're selling a contract and a promise. And if you don't live up to that, or you don't operate the way you should, you got to make sure you're protected. So you got to think about those costs as well.
Yeah.
And as you hire employees, you have workers' comp that you need to pay for. And that also comes at a very high cost. So those are things that you got to budget for. That's why I say if you're by yourself, 50K, you're probably running fine. But as you
3 people.
Yeah, 3 people, you're probably looking more towards like 80 to 100K. You
Okay.
probably add an additional 25 per person beyond that, I would say.
To start, just initial capital.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Walk me through the business at Bethany Insurance as of today. Like, how many employees do you guys work with? Like, as an owner, how are you guys operating today?
Yeah, very, very good question. So we have 23 current employees at Bethany, W-2 employees. There are 1099 outside sales as well. And we've departmentalized. So we have our residential personal lines, and then we have our commercial lines, and those have separate account managers. They don't double dip. They are trained and specialize in their specific departments. So those are our 2 largest departments. We also have a group benefits department, which offers group life, group health to the businesses that we insure. We do something very unique that I've never seen another agency do. We actually offer HR support services for free if you insure your business with us. We have a labor attorney on retainer, and you have access to that labor attorney should you have any questions for your own employees or anything like that may come about you and your business. So that's its own department. And then we have our own HR, in-house HR as well. So we're growing, and that's kind of how we do it. We departmentalize and we train our staff specifically on what it is that they're doing so that they're not trying to spread themselves thin and help you with home and building, a commercial, building a mall or, two different.
When I was in sales with AAA, we had auto, home, pup, watercraft, we had to get credit cards. I mean, they still do, but I'm not in the sales department anymore. Referrals to life. And that was the only other department that was there. So it's like people get burnt out and they get stressed and all of these things because they're like trying to sell all these lines of businesses. And some of them do well and some of them get burnt out. It just depends on how they use their time. But it's like, if I only had to sell auto and only auto, then that might, like, my time would be spent a little bit more wise.
Absolutely. And the thing about insurance is it's very heavy service based as well, right? And so you're getting all these calls in asking for help or adding this or deleting this vehicle or what have you. And so when you're spread thin, it's really hard to remember the rules. And if you open up an independent insurance agency and now you're working with 50 different companies, oh, forget it. How do you remember who wants what and how to process here and there? It gets tricky.
As someone who owns their own business, sometimes people hit a wall. It happens in all kinds of businesses. What's a tough moment for you throughout this whole business, and how did you guys overcome that?
The hardest thing for me was when we were a little bit smaller size, under 10 of us, we lost a pretty key employee at Bethany. They had been with us almost since the beginning. And when you lose someone of a director status or someone that's really controlling a lot of your operations, it's hard to pick that up. And so it felt like this door had shut. And I didn't know how to open it again. I didn't know. And that was the problem, is that I was trying to open that same door instead of finding the new door and finding the bright spot and how I can make this really a positive thing. And so after losing that employee, it was about, it was a rough, I would say 12 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a long stretch, but it was necessary. I didn't realize that it was also constricting Bethany at the same time, because I had one person, full trust in them to do everything, and was really hands off trying to grow different departments. And so they were managing my largest department. And why would I take my eyes and ears off of my largest department, my moneymaker in the business?
Right.
And so that really opened my eyes. And so it was, I got to dive back in. I got to dedicate my time. I got to stop what I'm doing over here, stop the growth over here, put my attention back where my foundation is, get that back on track, and then move back over.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a rough 12 months, man. It was down. Our sales were down our sales were down about 50%.
Oh my
So
God.
trying to operate after you've been open for 10 years, you have a cash flow, you have an idea of how to move money. And I, we don't just have Bethany. Like I also have investments elsewhere. And so when you're moving money around and all of a sudden you see a huge drop, it's tough. It's scary to try to mend that. And you're trying to do it quickly.
Right.
And you can't just stick a Band-Aid on everything. So I really had to step back, take a breath, and re-engage myself in that department that I hadn't been in quite some time.
What changes would you do now compared to what you did last time?
Yeah. So you got to have checks and balances to give somebody full control of something, of a department. And your largest one is just not smart as a business owner, right? And that's a big mistake that I made.
Some people will argue and say that, hey, these are things that I don't want to be a part of. I just want to overlook it. And so how do you say, okay, now I want to hire you for specific jobs that I can oversee, but I still need my hands in it?
So it's not about having your hand in it, and you're absolutely right. I'm going to backtrack for 1 second. So micromanaging was a huge fault of mine as this business was coming up and breathing down people's necks and really having my hand in everything. So then I pulled away and I did the opposite. And I said, you know what? You run it and let's let it be. And then that's when I hit this issue where this person left me and I didn't know how to run what they were doing. And so I had to find that happy medium. And the way to do that is to make sure that in any business and anything that you do, you have to be able to measure. You have to be able to measure everything and know your statistics, know where the money's coming, know where it's going, where is it leaking, which employees are high cost, which employees are low cost, so on and so forth. And so when I relinquished those duties, those were the things that I shouldn't have, right? To know where payroll is allocated, to know those things, that's where I had to take control back. And when I did, it gave me a grasp on, yes, you run the insurance, you run this, but let me run the administrative, let me run the payroll, let me figure out how to allocate the money. And that's still, that's where I'm at today. And that's still my job at Bethany. So I really direct the admin side and do a lot less of the producing insurance day to day, so to speak.
There was a lady that we had on a month and a half ago. And I think she said it perfectly. So she's like, I made a list of the things that I don't like doing, a list that I can delegate, and a list that I have to do, like my hands have to be in it. And so she's like, the first thing I did was like anything I didn't like doing, delegated. And I'm like, oh, okay. So this seems to be like the happy medium. Cause like, that situation that you went through, if it was in me, if I was in your shoe, I would say I have to put my hands in everything. And if I put my hands in everything, then there's not enough time for me to do anything.
Absolutely.
So insurance is a space where it's like slow, traditional, and competitive. So like, what did you guys do to start standing out amongst like other brokerages?
Yeah, good question. So I touched on it earlier with offering new products, so such as HR support services. That's something that almost everybody pays for right now, whether it's included in your payroll service or you have a separate HR service. But it's very important. And in California, we're a sue happy state. Got to err on the side of caution with both your consumers, your clients, and your employees. And so we felt that it was just a huge benefit to be able to offer something that no other insurance brokerage does. So that's really a big key for us. But beyond that, you'd be surprised at some of the OG style marketing that we do and we get hits on. For instance, I'll send you a physical postcard. And people will bite on it. But you got to know your businesses, right? So I'm talking about marketing to businesses, specifically retail pharmacies, for example. Okay. Retail pharmacies, a lot of old school people don't see a lot of young pharmacists opening up right away. Or if they do, they have somebody older that's involved. They look at their mail every time and they're going to see that postcard and they see something that attracts them on there. They're going to give you a call. So, you freshen it up, you put a QR code on there and you do the new stuff with it. But hard mail has been extremely successful for us.
Interesting.
In commercial insurance.
So if we're talking about marketing, and I'm glad that you brought this up. So if we're looking at marketing, leads and marketing is huge when it comes to insurance. And I would say that they spend a lot of money in marketing. And I witness it firsthand. And so there's leads for Google ads. There's leads for paper ads. There's leads for they partner up and they do travel. And from these travel, they get referrals. And then there's the like network events. Like, for example, OC Fair for us. Like, we'll have a booth.
Yeah.
If we measured your entire marketing, I want to know two things. One, your marketing from 5 years ago to today, how did that change? And two, as of today, how have you allocated marketing? As in, my bread and butter is paper, like you were saying, and this is the way that we do it, versus actually this is like 30% of my...
To answer your first question, 5 years ago, my marketing strategy was dump all my marketing funds into one strategy. Truly, that's what it was, because I was so ignorant. And I'm still ignorant. I'm not a marketer. That's not my profession. But it was, okay, this month we're dropping 10K on Google ads, and that's just what it was for every auto, home, business, whatever it is that you're doing. And then, that didn't work. We did that for 6 months. Let's try, Facebook ads or Instagram or whatever it is. And so it was dumping all of our funds at one time into one marketing strategy. Big fail. You got to understand, again, what is your target market and how do you market to those people? And then you got to spread your funds accordingly. So for instance, retail pharmacies, hard mail marketing, wonderful. They're never going to go online. They're never going to see me on Google. They're never going to search on Google. It's just not their thing. But I would say that's only about 20% of my marketing, truly. The rest of my marketing really does go geared to Google ads. Google ads is huge for us. And consumers leaving us Google reviews is huge. So if you look up Bethany Insurance and look up our Google reviews, we have over 500 reviews. As an independent agency, that's not a Mercury or that's not a AAA. We have 100 times more reviews than any other agency. Literally 4 or 5 reviews to every agency that you see, and so you become trusted with Google, and you get your bloggers and things like that to tie in everything on Google. And so we've hired a marketing company at this point, and they have the strategies, but that's really how we've evolved over the last 5 years.
When did you know you needed a marketing team?
When I realized that I couldn't do it myself, which was really way too late into the game. So we didn't hire a marketing company until 2018. So 7 years ago or so, We hired a marketing company. We were all word of mouth before that. It was just referral, word of mouth. That was it. Once we brought on that marketing, it brought in such an influx of business that I was scrambling to find employees. And so it started going the other way, where we were waiting for business to come in and I was a little overstaffed. Then all of a sudden it was like, oh shoot, I got to get people on board because we're just getting a huge pipeline of inquiries.
Okay, to piggyback off of that question, there are millions of marketing companies out there. How did you guys find the company that works specifically for you?
So funny that you asked that. And I had mentioned that all my clients came by word of mouth. And actually the marketing company that I hired was referred to me by a buddy who owns a business. But they've been rocking for us. They're doing really well. We really just want to make sure that we are on top of them. And so one of my duties is to meet with them weekly to see how things are going, how are clicks, the traffic to our website. Are you trying to drive people to this website? We make landing pages for certain things that we're targeting for that quarter. So really, I am involved in that space in terms of
a macro level.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. So you guys are starting this brand. It's early 2000s. You have the trust of your mother being in the industry for 40 years. But starting your own company, there's always some hesitation. So it takes time to build that trust and that credibility. How did you guys build that trust and credibility outside of your mother's 40 years of working in the industry?
Pick up the phone and give us a shot, really, is what it was. It was slow. The first 5 years were really tough. We're in the negatives for 5 years, but we had no other option. There was nowhere else to go. But really, it's you gotta be able to service people the right way and make sure that you're really giving them what's best for them. Until this day, we still operate that way. And those Google reviews that you see, they are legitimate. We are there. My people are there really to help. And my customer service reps only do customer service. They don't sell. I have separate salespeople for that, because you don't want to feel, as a consumer, as my client, you don't want to feel like I'm constantly trying to sell you a new product. You want to feel that you're being taken care of. Hey, I have a fire at my house. I need your help. We need sympathy. We need people to be involved. And so departmentalizing sales and service was really a big thing for us as well.
Because a lot of this, like I'm thinking about my time working in insurance, and I'm like, okay, so you say that. So we have separate teams of insurance and service. Do you currently have separate teams for insurance and services? Or do they handle their book of business?
No.
Whoever they are.
Separate.
It's
all separate. So my sales guys will not service their book of business.
Do they feel some type of way?
Yes.
Like the clients?
So if it's a personal client to that person, they always want to talk to their sales guy because it's personal.
Yeah.
But we have a strategy. And our strategy is, once that sale is made, they are introduced to their service team on the spot. And the service team reaches out. They introduce themselves. It's usually one person, but then they have a team under them. And so you have a direct point of contact that you're constantly emailing and speaking with. And so we proactively reach out and we say, hey, I'm Mike. I'm your service guy. If you need anything, give me a call. I'm here. I got your back. And I have 24-hour communication with your sales guy. Right. And so it's, don't worry about trying to get a hold of your sales guy. He's tough to get a hold of. Just get a hold of me. I have direct communication with him.
A caveat to that.
Okay.
Now, if you're insuring, like, I hate to always bring it up, but if you're insuring like one of our people, Egyptians, they're like, okay, that's cool. I'm so happy you introduced me to whoever. I don't care. I need my direct contact to be Michael. Michael. That's it. So how did you deal with that?
I still deal with it till today, just to let you know. I'm still dealing with it. But really, I hesitate to say this, but it's really the truth. I have always made myself very available, and I love to be available for my people, but I have priorities. And if I do make myself available to every client at any time, then something else is going to suffer, right? And so when you have thousands of clients in your business and I'm dedicating my time to just one or two people, those 5,000 other people are really going to suffer for that, because I'm not able to direct my staff and make sure that they're doing the best for their clients that they're servicing. And so it's really just trying to wean off of it. It's, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not available right now, but I will get back to you, or let me have my team get back to you. And sometimes it's being on the call with that team until one time, two times, three times, until they feel comfortable. Oh yeah, Mike did train them. They do know. They are answering the same way as Mike. And that's the beautiful thing about Bethany, is when you call in, whoever you talk to, you're going to feel like you're talking to me every single time. And that's how I've trained my team.
How have you trained your team? Training is a very difficult thing to overcome, and especially to get them on the same level as you. So there's I would presume, if I was picturing how this kind of happened, Bethany is like you, your mom, your dad, your brother, then you guys bring in a few more people. And obviously those people come and go, right? And then now you're like, I don't know if I want to train someone, because if they're going to leave in 6 months, or I'm wasting my time. So I'll just do it myself. Okay, well, that's not the right way either, right? And so have you built a system or a way to train people to get them onboarded quickly? Has there been fire drills where you're like, okay, this is not working, I gotta change this up? Or take me through the process of training.
Yeah, so If you're talking about current day, I have managers in place specific for each department that train.
Okay.
And so that is their job. That's what they do. And they're good at it. But I've learned, backing up to the step before that, employee turnover is tough. It's very tough to deal with. And when you talk about train and somebody leaving, right, they always say that in the first year of having an employee, you're in a deficit with that employee until they reach their anniversary, and then they start making their own money. And so how do you keep the longevity of your employees, I think, is another part to this question. So yes, training is a huge thing, making sure that they have all the tools that they need to succeed. You got to make sure that they're comfortable in what they're doing and that they understand. So we've created SOPs, we have videos, tutorials that they can watch, and then they constantly have access to their manager. The second part of that is hiring somebody with experience. Somebody else has done the training for me. So low-level employees are not always great because they're cheap. No, you got to make sure that you have somebody that knows what they're doing. And then great benefits. Bethany offers great benefits to their employees. We offer a 401k match without actually even contributing. So we have a safe harbor 401k where we automatically give you a percentage of your salary, whether you contribute or not. We pay up to 100% of your medical, dental, and vision insurance as you tenure with Bethany.
Oh,
so
nice.
it tiers.
Yeah.
We start at 80%, 85, 90, and so on and so forth. Your vacation days accrue at a more rapid rate. And we always give annual bonuses and salary increases. So employee benefits is a huge thing to employee longevity. And so training is just step one. But then to be able to ensure that that employee stays on board so that I'm not losing that money every year, we have to have these employee programs and benefits in place.
Dude, you are running this business like a corporate. I love this.
It's corporate, but it's family, right? So I'm there every day. I talk to everybody. I see everybody.
Yeah.
We're a big family. It's wonderful, but yeah, you got to keep it. You got to keep it that way. You got to keep it corporate.
Because I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, you know, you and I, we know a lot of people, and we know a lot of different businesses and a lot of mom and pop stores or businesses. They don't operate where they keep everything in a different department. They're like, hey, we'll figure it out as it goes. I could tell you right off the bat, I can't name you a single business in my head right now that offers benefits. And that's a huge thing.
Yeah, benefits. So again, we didn't always do this, right? And I love to hire the 40,000 a year. I guess that doesn't exist these days. But back in the days, you know, we would hire the employees that would be 40 or 50K salaries a year. But you got to understand that with an employee at that salary, they're only bringing a certain amount to the table.
Right.
And the way I see it and the way it really is if that employee they value themselves at 50K, then that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a 50K value out of this person. But somebody who says, hey, I'm worth 80K, I'm worth 90K, 100, 120K. Well, now you're talking to me. Tell me why you're worth 120K. Why do you deserve to work at Bethany and make 100? What are you bringing to the table now? And those are how my interviews go now, right? It's not, oh, tell me what your, hardest scenario. No, let's have a real conversation. And those are the employees that I'm able to vet. And it's been wonderful. It's really been life-changing for the business.
What is the most creative or unexpected way you've earned or generated new business? And did it actually work?
I have a really niche thing at Bethany. We have a very large department for builder's risk and ground up construction and vacant properties. And one of my brother's buddies used to work for a very large company that would flip homes. And so he was referring us his insurance. Well, he left that company and we had no direct contact to this guy. I mean, this guy's a guy on TV that flips homes. You're talking 500 houses a year that he's flipping. And so it was literally a trial and error of how do I get a hold of this guy so that I can retain his business. Little did I know that guy wasn't only a flipper, but he actually owned a hard money lending company. And so he was lending money to himself to flip homes and to other flippers at the same time. So I was finally able to get in with him by literally going to his office. He had no idea who I was. I used my brother's friend's name, and so that kind of eased the way a little bit. But gosh, it must have taken 6 months to be able to get this guy back with us. And it ended up turning into like triple the amount of business, because then I found out he did lending as well. And so all the people he was lending to started getting shuffled into me. And so I actually assisted them with providing what insurance requirements they need in order to obtain a loan to flip a house. So now I'm involved in almost the lending side, right? So how do we protect your investors' money with my insurance policy? And once I was able to get them comfortable with that, it was, hey, we're going to send all of our guys to you so that if there's ever an issue, we know we're covered and our money's protected. And so that was pretty cool. So it turned into this, I was getting a few hundred pieces of business a year to, oh crap, now it's gone. And then all of a sudden it turned into 5X what that was. And so that was great.
So I'm going to try to not use too many insurance terms, right? Just because I want my viewers to obviously understand, or I'll just kind of put it down like, hey, this is what it is.
All right.
So one of the things, if I'm looking at insurance as a whole, there's a lot of things, but a few things that I think about. All right, when I'm doing a policy, let's say the premium is $400 a month, right? And it covers 2 million, 1 million, 500, whatever the case may be, depending on what we choose. So let's just say for commercial, and fictitious numbers, $500 covers you $1 million, right? When that insurance policy hits and it's like, hey, I have to pay out the $1 million, that's a pretty scary thing, right? And so sometimes we get lucky and we can go through subrogation, right? These carriers that you have, are they paying you just on the premium and then that's it? Like, this is where we service the claim, we service the underwriting. If there is a claim, it goes through the carrier and they pay out and they try to find the subrogation. And do they do all the legwork? Does Bethany Insurance do all the legwork? How does that work out as a brokerage?
Yeah, great question. So because we're independent and we sell many different insurance companies' products, we don't handle the claims in-house. So each carrier has their own claims department and we refer our clients to that claims department. Now, your account manager or your service team is involved with the claims process, meaning, Tim, you got in a wreck in your car, commercial vehicle, since we're talking commercial, and you need help filing this claim. Somebody ran a red light and you're just not sure how to get it done. You want to make sure that it's not, doesn't go against you. Well, your assigned account manager will pick up the phone with you, 3-way call, whatever insurance company that we placed you with, get that claim filed and assist you along the way. If you need to get paperwork, if we need to help provide any documentation. So we are involved in the process, but we're not actually adjusting the claim, so to speak.
Gotcha.
So that's one side of it. And then if we're talking about what am I paid based on, right? Like I sold $100,000 worth of Mercury insurance, but my clients had $500,000 worth of insurance claims. Do I still get paid a commission? The answer is yes, because it's contractual. However, they have the right to pull that contract at any time, and they have the right to cut the commission percentages based on my profitability with them. Right. And so we have what's called a loss ratio. And so the loss ratio is basically how much premium have you produced versus how much have we paid out, and that's your ratio. Typically, you want to stay under 50%. So if you sell 100K, you should have less than 50K in claims. And that's how you keep your highest profitability.
Gotcha. Okay. So they base it off of the loss ratio most of the time.
Every time. Unless now I have long standing. And so if I have a bad year or a bad quarter, it's a lot easier to look past.
Right.
And it happens, right? With the fire. I had some total losses in the Palisades and the Eaton fire earlier this year. Those houses are millions of dollars. How many home insurance policies do I have to sell to make up one Palisades home claim that got burned to the ground? You got to sell thousands of policies for that. So we call that a shock loss.
Yeah.
And in a shock loss, a lot of times they say, we can overlook this or we can overlook that. Let's just move forward.
Yeah.
So as long as you continue to produce and you have profitability, historical profitability, then it's a lot easier to get past that.
Since we brought up the Palisades, like how was that whole event for Bethany Insurance?
It was rough. So I took it upon myself at that time to speak with anybody and everybody that was actually involved and harmed by the fire, whether they were my client or not my client of Bethany. And so I heard a ton of stories, just so sad. I mean, I would go home. It's as if you work in a hospital and it's like you see a patient die every day. It was the worst of the worst. Kids crying, memories that'll never be retrieved, just heartbreaking. It was such a rough time. But that's exactly why I did what I did and was able to, kind of step up and just say, hey, what can I do? Let me guide you. Let me help you. Let me, do whatever it is that I can. We did unfortunately have several total losses between the two fires. People are still dealing with that. In fact, I'm already seeing a lot of land being sold privately, even in the Altadena side privately.
Yeah.
It's very sad, especially with the Eaton fire. I know we were talking about Palisades, but with the Eaton fire, the money is really not so much there like the Palisades. And so the people that may own these $1.5 or $2 million homes, they're just family homes that they really inherited, and they can't purchase that home today. And so it's been really sad and really tough. But I stand by what I did in that time, and that I will always be there for those people because I can't fathom what it's like to lose everything in an instant.
Yeah. And I'll put a plug in here for anyone who doesn't listen to us. This is also the reason why you need good insurance. And
Absolutely.
I can't tell you, actually, you could tell me, but I can't tell you how many times I tell people, I'm like, hey, listen, I get you have cheap insurance, but if you're not covered in that replacement cost for your home, you're in trouble.
Big time. Can I tell you a story actually about this? So I'm dealing with this right now, and I guess I can't speak too much about it, but from a high level, I had somebody who had put in quite a few claims in a short amount of time prior to the fires. They weren't aware that as you put in claims, you can be canceled on your insurance, right? They weren't aware of that. And so they were putting in these claims like, my water heater's broken. It's like, that's not a claim. That's why, we try to make ourselves available. Call us for advice first. Nonetheless, they had put in 3 claims in 3 years. And so they were non-renewed, and they were in Altadena. They were non-renewed about 8 months prior to the fire occurring. Well, we didn't have a market because of the frequency of claims for them. And so they had decided that they were just going to seek insurance elsewhere. When they called me back in January and during the fires and said, hey, can you help us out? The only coverage that we have was force placed by our mortgage company because we weren't able to find coverage anywhere. Unfortunately, there was already a moratorium at that time. We weren't able to find or bind any coverage for them. But they found out that force-placed mortgage coverage, although in a high fire zone and was probably the cheapest option for them, turned out to be a terrible idea. And they currently have a plot of land that they owe no money on, but they have no means of building a home on it. And so they're sitting there with a vacant plot of land, about to sell it for pennies on the dollar and lose their lifetime investment of this home that they had just bought in 2020. And so you're talking about a young family with young kids that work very hard. They're professionals, tried to do everything right, and seemingly had everything stripped away from them. So on your point, make sure your insurance coverage is good, whether it's with me, with AAA, or with anybody else. I mean, the truth is, it's tough, and nobody's going to feel sorry. The insurance companies aren't going to feel sorry for you. We'll feel sorry for you, but
Right.
they don't care. And get your coverage checked.
What do you say to someone who has to forcefully get insurance? Like, as you know, like Tribuca Canyon, there a lot of insurance companies are like, nope, sorry, we can't insure. As soon as when I was in sales, when I heard a zip code, I'm like, sorry, dude, can't do anything.
Yeah.
Right. And they're forced to go to the California
Fair plan.
And I can only imagine what that covers.
So California Fair Plan. Okay, so let's talk about Trabuco Canyon for a second. Those are a lot higher value homes, or as you dip into like San Clemente and South Orange County, Fair Plan is actually not sufficient for those homes because they have a max total insurable value, or TIV, of $3 million. And so that's not enough replacement cost, as you had mentioned, to replace your home in the event of a loss. And so you have to go to what's called a non-admitted insurance company, a company that's not domiciled in the state of California. And those are companies like Lloyd's of London, Scottsdale, Evanston. And those premiums, they're not regulated by the state. And so they can literally charge whatever they want. So when you're getting in a home in a high fire zone, typically hilly, South Orange County is really a one of the toughest places in the state, along with some places up north, that you got to really check your insurance. I mean, we are selling more $40, $50, $80, $150,000 homeowners insurance policies than we ever have at Bethany Insurance. So I just quoted one today in Diamond Bar that was $46,000 a home. He has nowhere else to go. He bought the policy, $46,000.
Jeez.
Fair Plan's also getting expensive. So if you are in that $3 million value, the premiums are still getting up $25,000, $35,000 with the Fair Plan.
Where do we go from here?
If you're talking about market outlook, I do see softening in the market.
Okay.
So this is a positive sign. This is really, it seems to be turning. We've hit the peak, or maybe even a plateau at this point, and it's starting to turn a little bit. So carriers are re-entering the marketplace, which really is going to allow people to breathe. So where you were going to those non-admitted carriers, even for some regular homes in the LA area, some older homes, you're going to start seeing the nationwides, the Travelers re-enter this market space with a 25-30% increase from where they were at. But it's still half the price of what you've been seeing over the last 24 to 36 months.
Yeah.
So I would say the market outlook, you'll start seeing home insurance costs coming down over the next, 24 months. Auto's actually coming around a lot faster. And I think you'll start seeing dips in auto insurance rates over really the next 6 to 12 months. So
I wonder how they're going to reduce it, though. Because again, being in the space, all I see is we have to turn in our paperwork to get an increase. Not many people turn in paperwork to do a decrease to their premium.
Yeah. So when I say decrease, I don't mean that. So if you're currently with a big company that you've heard of, like Travelers, Nationwide, Mercury, preferred carriers, those carriers are taking rate increases.
Right.
It's the people that weren't able to get those standard insurance companies that started going to these companies that you really haven't heard of much, that all of it, like Aegis and all these companies that started popping up for home. Bamboo's a huge one for home insurance right now.
Right.
Those ones are really going to start being obsolete. And so those premiums that were 3, 4, 5K with those companies, you're going to get back to Travelers and Nationwide at $2,500. And so it's not that a company's taken their rate down. They're just going to start pushing out those guys that were really expensive.
Let's talk about work-life balance just for a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't like to use work-life balance just because as a dad, there's no such thing as work-life balance. As a business owner, or like you can attest to this, like having different homes, like investment homes, there's no work-life balance. If something breaks, you got to go fix it. And as working as an insurance sales agent before, if I took a week off from work, I come back and I have hundreds and 200 emails saying like, hey, my policy was dropped. Underwriting did this. What's going on? So like, how do you handle client issues after hours? Number one. And number two is, how do you turn off work Michael versus like, I'm off Michael?
This has definitely been the hardest thing to accomplish. And it's still a struggle until today.
Okay.
I definitely have not mastered this, and it's a work in progress, but I've gotten better for sure.
Okay.
I told you before, I was available all the time, whatever you need. And I really did have to turn that off. And for me, I think it's a little bit easier. I don't have a kid.
Yeah.
And so your attention is pulled in way more directions than me in terms of being at home. When I'm at home, I'm at home. It's just me and my home. So for me, I made a hard stop. Truly, what I told myself was at 7 p.m. every day, I'm done. I'm done working. If there's a 911 situation, I'm sorry, but I'm not 911 anymore. Pick up the phone and call 911. It's not me. So it was tough, and I lost some clients because of that. But honestly, you can't expect me to just be available all the time as a consumer. And so those were consumers that I was willing to part ways with, as much as I hate to say that. But I had to give myself a hard stop, right? And for me, a lot of it has to do with my faith, our faith. And I felt like I wasn't giving enough time to God.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it was a hard stop. If I don't stop at a certain time, I'm going to go all night, and then I'm going to lose out on very important things in my life. And so that's what really changed my mind. It was, all right, 7 p.m., I'm done. I got dinner, I got an hour to chill, and then I got to get on my own things. And so God was a big one for me, being able to read my Bible, pray, just kind of unwind that way. Write things down, relax. That was a huge one for me. And that's what really changed. So to have a balance, to me, is really, you got to set a line, and you can't cross that line.
Non-negotiable.
And for you with a family, I would say, I'm sure you do the same thing. Hey, this is my family time. I'm available for my buddies or clients or what have you. Hey, I'm all here for you. But
right.
My wife and my kid, they deserve my time and attention, and you got to draw that line.
Right. What are like routines and habits that you've picked up throughout the years that you're like, okay, this makes me, one, either a better person, or two, like this is how you get 100% of Michael?
Mornings. I was never a morning person.
Okay.
Getting started right in the morning is huge for me. So
okay.
I start every morning with a meditation, non-religious.
Okay.
But I sit outside if I can, weather permitting, and I really just ground myself, and I get myself ready for that day, and just breathe, just be able to put myself in the moment. And by doing that in the morning, I'm able to remind myself that throughout the day, and that I got to stay in the moment. And so when you have 100 things on your desk or 200 emails after being off for a week, it really allows you to tackle things one thing at a time, prioritize your day, and get things going. So the big thing for me is meditation in the morning is absolutely huge. My life with church and my faith is a big one for me. Being rooted in a strong foundation, being able to look to other people at church for guidance and assistance. As much as we talked about the community earlier and maybe hounding and doing other things, there's huge blessings in our community, and we have a huge network of people. Being able to rely on them, ask them for advice. So not only the religious aspect, but also networking in that aspect and feeding off of each other. So back to what I was saying, meditation is big. Faith is big, and then being able to exercise and get my mind right while I'm exercising. So even if it's 20 or 30 minutes a day, that's a huge thing for me. So that would be my part of my nighttime. So meditation in the morning, work through my day, hard stop at 7:00, get God, get my exercise, go to bed, start over again.
Wow.
Yeah. Very routine.
Very dialed in.
I am. Hey, if I'm not, I veer so far off track.
Yeah.
I get distracted so easily. And if I miss one day, I'm done for a week. Like it's really bad. So I'm a creature of habit.
Yeah.
I got to set these routines for myself. Otherwise, I will just veer way too far off.
I got to ask a question a little off topic.
Sure.
Right. Being in the faith that we are in, right? I think we kind of got it, right? Like, we're like, hey, bro, we're Orthodox. Like, we're in the right lane, right? We say we're in the right lane.
Yeah.
How has your faith transformed from when you were 23 to today?
So 23 was when I was thinking that I got it.
Yeah.
For sure. 23, I had it in the bag. Go to church on Sunday. Make sure I get there by 9 a.m. to hear the gospel reading.
Yeah.
Make sure I take communion, do my thing, and I'm good.
I'm out.
I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, I got my blessings for the week. I'm good. I'm solid. As you evolve, you realize that it truly is a living relationship. Mm-hmm. And without having a two-way communication, that means hearing God's word and communicating back to God, you're never going to grow and you're never going to see where you need to grow. And so the biggest thing for me was just hearing an hour or an hour and a half or 2 hours of church really wasn't what I thought it was doing for me, right? It was more of, in my head, I told myself that it was the right thing. Mm-hmm. But as you get older and as you develop that relationship with God, you really start to understand that I have so many things that I need to change in my life. I am really just deficient at so many things, you know? And so that's been a huge thing for me. And he speaks to me and he tells me, you suck at this, get better. You suck. And I see it. It haunts me till this day, right? Like, for instance, patience for me, right? Especially with my parents. And I think this is also a cultural thing for us. You know, it's like, Mom, I got it. It's fine. And I see my parents way too often because of Bethany.
Yeah.
And so having that patience and being able to grow in those ways has really not only helped me in my personal life, but really translated into business.
If someone's listening in and they're thinking like, hey, I want to start my own agency, right? There's a lot of agencies here. You can start an agency in LA. You can start an agency in, Inland Empire, Orange County, right? What advice would you tell this person? Like, hey, as a mentor to you, this is my advice to you when you're about to start this journey.
So brick and mortar is very important, and your location geographically is very important. When we first started, we were on a street corner, street front. Everybody could see us. We wanted that. That was not the business that we wanted, though, right? So we started getting these walk-ins, and it was like, hey, I got 2 DUIs. Can you insure me? I just need to get my car registered. And it's like, all right, well, Mercury doesn't take that. Nationwide doesn't take that. None of my carriers take that. What am I doing here? I'm wasting my time. So if you got to know, again, what are you gearing your business to? So geographically, if you're going to have a storefront, make sure it's in the place that you want to sell insurance, because that's what you're going to get. And so I stuck myself in a place that I didn't want, and I got what I didn't want. So that's the geographic side of it. On the flip side of it, you really gotta build your brand, right? You keep talking about brand and opening this brand, and you gotta have people trust this brand. So it goes 2 ways. It's one, people seeing it over and over and over and over again. So seeing my logo once does nothing for you. Seeing it twice, 3 times does nothing for you. But if you see it 6, 10, 12, 15 times, when you automatically need insurance, you're going to say, oh, shoot, I remember that insurance company. And so that's building your brand, step 1. And then number 2 is being able to get out there, talk to the community, talk to the people, and getting yourself involved locally is a huge deal for trust. And so as you gain local trust, it starts to spread further and further out. So
branding, trust.
Absolutely. And they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Every time.
What is something that you guys are working on that's exciting?
Oh, man. Well, exciting to me or exciting to you?
Exciting to you.
So we're actually working on getting our non-admitted license right now.
Okay.
So we'll be able to offer direct products of Lloyd's of London, and those companies that I was kind of talking about. So that's very exciting for Bethany.
For those who don't understand, can you elaborate?
Yeah. So when your insurance needs cannot be met by a standard insurance company for whatever reason, maybe frequency of claims, or you just have a very unique business, maybe you have a magic show with tigers, who's going to insure that? So you got to go to these specialty companies, and they build out a special policy just for you. And they're able to tailor the coverages to you. But again, they're not regulated by the state, and so they can charge whatever they want. Of course, they're a business. They want to earn your business, so they try to be competitive. And so I'm going to be able to tailor that product to very niche businesses to insure them. So that's pretty exciting for us. Another thing on the horizon is outside of Bethany, I am currently working to establish a capital fund to loan money, do hard money loans for flippers and investors. Because my network has grown with Bethany Insurance in that sector, and talking to you about the guy that does hard money loans.
Yeah.
I am going to start looking at some private money and getting investors in to now turn and start loaning money out to flippers and other investors for their projects at a lower rate. And it's a new project that's on the horizon, and it's coming.
Yeah.
I would say 1/1/27 is our launch date. It's going to be a very large fund. So stay tuned for that for sure.
Awesome, man.
Yeah. Exciting.
Okay. A couple questions about Michael now. Just purely Michael. Michael is going through this thing of being an insurance agent, being a business owner. He starts making his own money. Now, Michael has few options. Number one, enjoy the money. Buy the nice things. Option two is invest it. Maybe a little bit of both, but
Fair.
Okay, invest it, right? What was the first few things you started investing in, and how has that grown for you?
Stocks was the first thing that I invested in. And it started really small. Just learning how to put, maybe a couple $100 a month, every month into the market, being able to allocate those funds.
As you allocating the funds, or are you putting in an ETF or?
No, I was allocating the funds on my own. But just constantly putting money into the market was a big thing for me. Using it as a tool, some safe, being able to spread your money out, and some safe and some risky. But then the first real property investment that I made was actually for a flip. And so the guy that was doing his insurance with me had an extra property that he wasn't able to get his crew on. And so he asked me if we wanted to flip a property that he had. And so my brother and I said, absolutely, we will. And that took about 9 months of our time. And I think we made $4,000. And that we found out was a huge waste of time.
Yeah.
Two people made $4,000 in 9 months. You're talking about nothing.
Yeah.
And so we were so excited because this guy was making so much money flipping homes. We thought that we could too. And little did we know that was just not our forte.
Okay.
And that's a full-time business on its own. So that now has evolved. And now I'm in the long-term rental space. And so I have several units that I purchase and I rent on a long-term basis.
All in California, or?
Every property is in California.
Okay.
All in Southern California, i.e. OC, LA County.
Okay.
I was trying to stay out of LA County for a while. It was really tough. And so I was doing a lot of Orange County and even some IE stuff. When I started, it was IE because the cheaper prices. Now we've really picked up properties in LA County because we're able to build ADUs very easily. And so there's a current ADU project going on in Whittier for us right now that we're converting a garage to an ADU, actually in Fullerton as well, combining 2 lots. Each one has 3 units existing on it. We're going to combine those lots and then build 4 units in the rear to make 10 total units on this lot. So converting it from 2 residential lots to one commercial lot. Long-term rentals is a big thing for us. And I do that because it's right for me. Doesn't mean it's right for everybody.
Yeah.
But because I have a business and because I want to be able to dedicate my time to it, this is the way that I can. And so making that long-term real property investment with a tenant that's going to sit there for 1, 5, 10 years was where I wanted to park my money.
Well, there's problems that come with it.
Absolutely.
So when these problems arise, tenant problems, do you now have a property management that you lean on, or do you do it yourself?
So now I have a property management company that I lean on just because there's too many doors and too many issues. It's like almost a daily occurrence that somebody needs something.
Yeah.
And so again, I'm not available, and it makes it tough. And I don't want my tenant to feel that somebody's not there for them either. Just like a client of Bethany, they work the same way. So I've since hired a property manager, and they're able to facilitate these things for me. When I first started in investing, it was me, and you have to dedicate that extra time. And so maybe my 7 p.m. cutoff was 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. where I said, hey, no more contacting me.
Yeah.
I had to push on that. Right.
Yeah.
So, you have to start on your own, self-managing, and you're able to see what does it entail so that I know if I'm getting screwed by my property manager or not too. Right. So having some knowledge in all areas is always good.
This is awesome, man.
Appreciate it.
So I appreciate you coming on, and I really like, this is more tailored to me because I'm in the industry in regards to working for someone. And so it's like interesting to see someone's outer perspective of this. So I thank you for like being with me today.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having me on, man. It's an honor and always a pleasure to talk to you. So thanks a lot.
If someone is trying to find you guys on the website, on your social media handles, could you tell the camera where they can find you?
Yeah. So Instagram at Bethany Insurance, just the way it sounds. You can call our office, 909-305-0070, and we're located in San Dimas, California.
Thank you.
Right on. Thank you.
All right, guys. Season 3 is underway. I appreciate all of you guys for listening in. As normal, we're on the outro. Thank you.